honorable ministers, National Assembly members, Honorable Secretary General, the coordinator for the National Dialogue, distinguished panelists, I say Juma Mubarak, Holy Good Friday. Before I take the floor, I would like to suggest or recommend that we shake hands because that's fundamental in our traditional way of reconciling and speaking with one voice and putting Gambia in the forefront of everything we do. So can you shake hands? Everybody who is you might not get up, but just shake hand with the person you are sitting with and say, let's see Gambia first. Let's put Gambia first. His Excellency, so the way forward, this is a very important initiative. It's talking about national dialogue. So symbolically, we are saying Gambia before anything else because Gambia is bigger than any one of us. I will make recommendations, concrete recommendations, because we have already defined the context. One recommendation, concrete, is for us to have 50% quota in the national constitution. Number two is for National Assembly members to reconsider the lifting of the ban on FGM. Number three, I'm recommending that the elections, local elections, legislative and presidential, be held on one day. Of course, we only know the rationale. This is what obtains in other countries. It's more economically viable and also more, um, because our people don't usually understand or appreciate that presidential, none one of these elections is more important than the other. And the other one is I'm recommending that we look also outside Gambia. We have sub-regional cooperation, we have international cooperation. The regional cooperation and sub-regional, we have peace and security. So peace and security, I'm happy that my son, the Honorable Minister of Defense, on behalf of also his colleague, definitely gave us an update on the security reform. But fundamentally, what is missing is that we have to have effective communication strategies. I can understand, you can understand, another person can understand. But if we are to have inclusive governance or democratic governance, peace and security, we have to translate these issues into local languages. I recognize Falu. This has always been something that I used to discuss with Falu when we were working on the national think tank. Then the other recommendation is the diaspora, including the diaspora. But before I go to the diaspora, there are a lot of resources that you have at the regional and the sub-regional level. You have the African Trade Agreement, Continental Trade Agreement that has a lot of billions of dollars. How do we, Gambia taps in those resources to help the indigenous businesses to grow and be sustainable? We also look at the women, just as my daughter has said, Dr. Georgia. We have to also look at the possibility of cooperation in terms of national capacity building. The gentleman, the teacher, has said, made a fundamental point. We are talking about resources. Let's open up. Resources are wide, national, human resources. The drivers and the enablers of development, particularly sustainable development, are the human capital. Let us continue investing on the human capital. And let's try to see how much we can invest on the young people and women. We can no longer afford as a nation to leave out half of the population. Let's bring them together. Finally, I really want to thank you again for this initiative. This must be at the heart and epicenter of everybody's agenda. This is Gambia. We don't have anything more than Gambia. We want to stay in Gambia. We want to retire in Gambia. And except for the destiny, for Allah's will, nobody wants to die outside Gambia. Thank you so much to the organizers. We can see the difference. Ami, my sister, has really been in the forefront of this initiative. Of course, the primary actor is His Excellency the President. We appreciate it, but Ami shows women in leadership. When you give us leadership, we do it to the best of our ability. Uh, this is the advantage of being a mother. You can take an extra point. Instead of 5 minutes, I will take one more minute. The Secretary General is a woman. We are seeing the difference they are making. So once we have that equality, women in governance, we can always make a difference, and it will be legally binding. Politicians, I want you to consider, once the constitution is adopted with 50%, I want politicians also to think about bringing more women in governance. That will make a big difference. For as we stand here, as we are speaking, there is a lady who has been missing since 13th January. Um, she lived here since 2017. She's called Sakina. I know her by the name of Sakina. She's a British citizen. She has been missing since the 13th of February, which is talking about gender-based violence. So many women are losing their lives. Let's look at that. So I give that challenge to the ministries of security and justice. I mean, yes. And finally, the constitution. Once the constitution is adopted, I would like to urge the government to encourage government, just basic in Arabic, in local languages, so that the people we write it for can at least understand where their rights are.
Thank you.
Finally, I want to recognize His Excellency Sadauda Kairaba Jawara and his government, because just as my daughter said, Nene Cham, they are the founders, the builders of this nation. Every time we stand to speak, let's remember them.
Thank
So inclusion means forget remembering those who have really created this trajectory that we are enjoying. And also let us all try to leave a legacy for our children so that Gambia will really flourish, prosperous, secure, and happy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Just a little update.